Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ask IoT video series presented by IoT for All, the #1 publication and resource for the Internet of Things. I'm your host, Ryan Chacon. Before you get into watching this, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already. It means a ton to us and encourages us to keep making this content for you. All right, on today's episode, we have Ryan Saab, the founder and CEO of Unearth. Unearth is a company that equips those who build and maintain infrastructure with intuitive data capture, spatial intelligence, and collaboration. Basically, their focus is making easy-to-use mobile GIS, and conveniently enough, that is what we're going to talk about today. Mobile GIS, what it means, how does it compare to just GIS, explaining the significance to infrastructure providers and contractors, and explaining the outlook of these technologies, which I think you'll get a lot of value out of. Welcome, Brian. Thanks for taking a few minutes here to chat with me today.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Great to be here.
Absolutely. So let's kick this off by having you give a quick introduction about yourself and the company for our audience.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Brian Saab, and I am the founder and CEO of Unearth. We are a software platform that does work management for the built world. So that means that we help field teams as they're out working on the stuff that we all rely on, be that roads and bridges or the power grid, stuff like that.
Fantastic. So today's episode is focused on talking about GIS, mobile GIS, kind of what they are and so forth. And I wanted to kick it off by asking you to kind of define both those terms, what they are at a high level.
Yeah. GIS has been around for quite a while. Geographic information systems. It's a pretty well-defined software category. There's a very dominant software company called Earth Science Research Institute, ESRI, ESRI, that has really pioneered that field for many, many years. And there's a whole class of professional GIS specialists that work in that domain. Classically, it's been kind of a complex field. It's about gluing really discrete and different types of data together. I mean, first and foremost, maps, right? Geographic information, geospatial information. But many times it also means mixing that with other sorts of data, be it structured data like asset information or other sort of just like list-based data or stuff like that, but also with other unstructured data. So photography or videos or that kind of thing. And for a long time, it was really about analysis. It was about analyzing the environment and then coming up with some sort of assessment or report, be it a topographical study or what should be constructed and where, or risks prone to like weather, that kind of thing. So it was a very research oriented, very analytical field. Mobile GIS, kind of goes with the name, mobile computing. So the rise of smartphones and sort of like ubiquitous connectivity and that kind of thing. Okay. It's a little different. You can kind of think about GIS has matured to the point that it's now available for the masses. So where the domain of GIS classically is back at the office and is for those experts, mobile GIS is really about extending that capability to the people that are putting on their boots and their hard hats and going out and doing work wherever they might find themselves. And the interesting thing there is that that's very new. Where classically that sort of complex environment in the office, what ended up happening out in the field was a lot of printed documents because it was hard to take that complex geospatial information and get it to somebody who was out in a truck, say somewhere. So what ended up happening is the bridge was, well, let's print you up a map. Let's print you up a list. Here's the things we need you to go work today. And now mobile GIS is innovating in that whole space.
Fantastic. Talk about, now that we kind of understand what the top or the GIS and mobile GIS are, can you talk about their significance to kind of infrastructure providers and maybe the IoT space in general, just kind of the overall role they play and value they provide?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, this is kind of nirvana for many of these large infrastructure providers in that, we don't think about our power or we don't think about our roads until they stop working. Right. And then it becomes like a really big issue. Just what's happening in Mississippi right now with all the floods, right? People are without water, people are without power, people can't transport themselves. It's really, really critical. And so velocity is kind of the name of the game, to be able to move fast. And when you have to go from a real rich data environment, like a GIS system in an office somewhere, and then you have to distribute a bunch of paper to a bunch of teams that have to go out and do work, and then document what they're seeing, bring that information back to a decision-making authority, and then maybe even do more work. Like, okay, well, here's the parts to go fix that power grid or to get the water running.
Right.
And then you have to send people back out. The velocity is incredibly slow. With mobile GIS, again, we're sort of democratizing that capability now so that you have very easy access to maps, very easy access to all of that structured data, probably like asset information, like transformers or water pumps or the plumbing and the pipes that are out underground. If you have access to all that information at your fingertips on a mobile device, not only are you moving faster to where you need to be, but you can also document much, much faster, in like real time or near real time. You can document what is the current situation, make an assessment as to what needs to happen, and then all that information is flowing back to the decision makers at a central location.
Right.
And then your new marching orders can flow. So the cycle of inspection and repair or inspection and maintenance or whatever it might be is happening not just a little bit faster, but much faster.
Sure.
And this is the kind of thing that these infrastructure providers have been kind of dreaming about.
Fantastic. So talk about the kind of outlook of these technologies. Kind of where does it go? What does the future hold? What are people most excited about
Mhm.
potentially kind of happening in this space?
Yeah, I mean, there's some really cool stuff happening. Right now, a lot of mobile GIS systems still have to run both connected and disconnected, and that will always be true, or at least for the kind of foreseeable future. But
Right.
with 5G rollout and just sort of broad connectivity, that real time cycle is just going to get better and better and more reliable. The ability to push more and interesting information to these mobile devices is also really leading to some really interesting scenarios. We're working with the EPA and many other sort of water organizations around our nation's water supply, as just an example. But what we're seeing is that really rich data sets around what is our existing water supply, or what do we believe it to be? And then machine learning driven analytics or risk prediction of here's where we think the real problems are. All of that now is reaching someone's smartphone or their tablet in the field. So they
Right.
can see sort of what we think the situation is and what our risk prediction is. And then they can be capturing the ground truth. And all of that is now being captured in real time and being sent back to all the stakeholders, at the federal level, at the state level, at
Right.
the actual water municipality level, and even citizens. So you're just seeing this sort of tip of the iceberg on the ability to capture and manage this kind of information away from
Mhm.
the office. And then the really interesting work that we can do with that data, including things like machine learning and risk prediction. We're just sort of scratching the surface right now.
Fantastic. And when it comes to the kind of the adoption side of this, are you seeing any industries kind of really leading the way, or do you see any, I guess, on the other side of that, any challenges that company or industries are coming across with this technology when it comes to the decision to adopt or not?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about industries that are kind of known for moving a little slow, right? These
Sure.
are sort of like high risk, high compliance industries. And so there's always
Right.
been a sort of natural inclination to not move super fast. I think that if I just speaking frankly, across the board, everyone knows these
Mm,
technologies are coming and they need to adopt. It's not like there's a
fair enough.
question of if, it's
Fair enough.
happening.
Right.
I think thankfully the infrastructure bill that the Biden administration passed is really sort of igniting a lot of activity because it's driving dollars and an emphasis on work over the next 5 to 10 years into local level as well as sort of state level and federal level around transportation, water,
Right.
power
Right.
grid.
Right.
And so it's really ushering in a digital transformation that mobile GIS and this sort of capability is a perfect fit for.
Fantastic. And for audience out there who wants to potentially learn more about these technologies, follow up with questions, kind of reach out in any capacity, what's the best way they can do that?
Well, we'd love for folks to come visit our blog at unearthlabs.com. We have tons of articles and information. We speak a lot about this, not about our product per se, but about just what we're seeing in the market. So they can come learn about the work that's happening in the water industry or the energy
Right.
sector or transportation.
Fantastic. Well, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to kind of educate our audience on a topic that I'm sure they've come across many times, and if they're unfamiliar now, they are familiar. So, really appreciate it, and look forward to having you back on here.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, thanks again for watching that episode of the Ask IoT video series. I hope you found a lot of value in it. If you did, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps others find it and make sure that you get the latest episodes as soon as they become available. Other than that, if you have any questions or topics that you would like us to cover in this series, please leave them in the comments or shoot us an email at hello@iotforall.com. Other than that, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.